With me now is IDF retired Colonel Miri Eisin, now the director of the International Institute for Counter-Terrorism at Reichman University. Thank you, Miri, so much for being with me. Really, incredible, raw, emotional stuff from the dad there, of Emily's dad, and talking about the horror and the depravity of life for 6 weeks in captivity. You and I talk quite often here on i24news. We speak regularly, and you are fond of, alluding to the fact that we're in unprecedented territory. Negotiating with Hamas like this situation, unprecedented. It seems, though, Miri, we are fast approaching something with precedence, which is the idea of a mega deal. That as now Hamas starts to negotiate the idea of releasing men and soldiers, we know of this massive meeting in Qatar with the CIA head, with the head of the Mossad and Qatari officials to discuss perhaps a mega swap, which would receive the release of the remaining hostages in Gaza for a massive number of Palestinian terrorists in Israeli jails. This does have precedence. So can you weigh in perhaps on your thoughts on the reports of a deal that may be happening in the days ahead?
So there's no question that there's a precedent for Israel giving out large numbers of convicted terrorists who are sitting in Israeli jails or live people. And in that sense, that's that incentive for terror organizations to do the hostage taking in the first place. So all of the precedents that we have for that are ones that are going to make all of us feel bad. These are not good options. If we don't give out the Palestinian convicted terrorists that are prisoners in Israeli jails, we probably won't be able to get back our live citizens. And it's, to me, not a question if they're a soldier, because the Hamas define all of them as a soldier. The question is, can Hamas deliver? When you do a mega type of deal like this, and it doesn't matter if it's for one soldier, Gilad Shalit, who came back alive, or if it was for 8 soldiers in the 1982 war, there was a big exchange. At that time, there have been other precedents, as I said, in this sense. But that Hamas looks at all of them as soldiers. And as we've seen at the stages of negotiations right now, I don't believe that Hamas can actually deliver. They are not in control of all of the hostages. They yesterday and the day before have very clearly shown that they're doing this jointly with Palestinian Islamic Jihad. So are we negotiating? Not that either one of them are great, but are we negotiating with the one who can deliver and says that they're in control, or with the other? There's an additional family that we've all seen so often, the amazing 10-month baby, his 3-year-old brother, as we like to call them, the ginger children, that according to what we understand and what's been put out in the last few days, they're not held, not by Hamas and not by Palestinian Islamic Jihad. So how can you have a deal, as you say, the mega deal with everybody, if Hamas is not even in control of all of these hostages that were taken on October 7th?
There is also the question, right, Miri, of Israel would be asked to release an increasingly violent terror prisoners. The list of offenses grows more serious now, according to reports of prisoners that would have to be released. And you mentioned the Gilad Shalit deal, this line that you can draw between releasing the Palestinian terrorists now from jail in exchange for hostages in theory, but that line in the future leading to the direct murder and death of Israeli civilians in the future. Sinwar himself was in Israeli jail.
And as we look at this, here we have the immediate dilemma, but it's a dilemma that's not just Israelis. There are countries around the world who say that they don't negotiate with terrorists who do hostages. What Hamas did here is a kind of situation we can't not do it. Listen to our Israeli voices. Jeff, listen to you and to me. We have to bring these hostages home. So now it becomes a question of the price and of negotiation. The price will be high, and yet we will bring them home. This does not mean that we will not go after the Hamas leadership, the Hamas infrastructure, but you have to balance both of them, or more correctly, you have to do it in a dual mode. You're going to do both the one and the other. Right now, it's focusing on a mega deal. If I could, Jeff, I would say we do that mega deal, get that done, and then go after Hamas. But it isn't as simple as that. As I said, I don't think that Hamas actually hold all of the cards and control all of the hostages in a way that they could really supply it. What will we do if only 5 are left? If only 10 are left? What a horrible idea.
I want to ask also about the power here of Hamas's propaganda in the Palestinian territories, in Israel, and around the world. The videos that they're releasing, which are increasingly slick, well-produced propaganda videos of these handovers, on either side of the Red Cross, jeering Palestinian crowds, and these images that we're seeing from Hamas. What is it doing to their popularity amongst the territories in the West Bank, where they are enjoying a surge in popularity? We're seeing violence, clashes, reports in Jenin already. What does this mean for the future, perhaps, of governance of the Palestinian territories?
What they're trying to show is control, Jeff. They want to show that they're in control, that they're the ones who are doing something. But take it with a grain of salt. No matter how good they are doing their productions, and you're absolutely right, they've upped their productions, what we see isn't always what they're trying to show. The impact that it's making on the Palestinian arena is what I would call their own double-edged sword, because they don't have control, so they're trying to show control. They are trying to show that they have been good to the hostages in that sense. And even on that one there, a little bit of a grain of salt of how that's taken in the Palestinian arena. However, the fact that Hamas are still standing, still showing themselves in control, this does have a definite impact on the younger generation, certainly in the West Bank, perhaps in East Jerusalem, let alone in the Gaza Strip, that younger generation that says resistance, because that's the term that Hamas uses. Look, it releases people from jail. Having said that, there are lots of voices, certainly in the Gaza Strip, but also in the West Bank, that talk about what Hamas did, not just how irresponsible it was, but how brutal it was. Resistance is one thing, the brutality is a different thing, and none of them managed to explain the 10-month baby or the 87-year-old Holocaust survivor who has also not yet been released.
What do you make of the IDF campaign now to root out terrorists in the southern part of the Gaza Strip? The U.S. has been putting pressure, increasingly public pressure, on the IDF to change tact